All right, we are back for another week. Hayden, how we doing today?
Doing great, doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great for the Doer Urakami group. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Hey, pumped.
Today we are going over some next steps now that we closed on a deal and we are moving things along. So, first question for you, Hayden. Now that we have closed on a property and have one under our belt, what are under your roles your next steps that you need to focus on in order to keep this project moving?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's obvious. I think we should pop champagne and just party. We did it.
There you go. Work's done.
No. So for me, for what I bring to the table, my thoughts are always future related. Where can we take this? How far do we, how quickly can we get to that next step? So that's always on my mind is like what's next. Great job. We pat ourselves on the back for 30 seconds. Um, like we said last week, we had a 8-minute phone call of hey, great job, congrats. What's next? So
Yep.
um, next steps in my what I'm doing is getting back out there, getting back on the horn with brokers, starting to review deals again. I mean, I never really stopped reviewing deals, but starting to be more active in talking with brokers and potentially setting up some trips out to a couple of the markets that we're looking into. Not only that, but working on the capital front where we know that we need to raise more money to be able to get into these new deals. This 10 unit deal is a great starter deal for us, and we went through A to Z how to start, from analyzing the deal to turning in the LOI to closing, um, which was great. I think we know that we can handle more. So looking at determining that buy box and uh, and executing. What do we need to get? What do we need to do to close on a larger deal or this next deal is my focus.
Right. And I think as far as roles go, we've been able to define our roles a bit more. And we've determined that your strong suit is pushing the company along and continuous growth and moving to our goals and next steps to further everything along. For this deal specifically, you come from a background with property management. Anything to note on there as far as this deal specific?
Yeah, with Menlo Townhomes, with the property we just bought, we I can see a lot of things that need to be done in terms of curb appeal, in terms of pushing rents, in terms of how we can maximize this property. I think the 5 to 7 year exit strategy that we have gives us enough runway to renovate these two deals, figure out our management strategy, figure out our construction management strategy, and really get a good feel for this industry. And I think a couple things that I can really, or a couple things to get into today is, we want to increase the curb appeal. The property right now looks like three concrete boxes. Nobody knows you can rent these properties out. It's not very inviting. First thing I learned from when I was leasing from property management was your property needs to look inviting. It needs to look great. If you've got trash down the sidewalk, if you've got ripped flags going and just kind of a dingy, gross look, nobody's going to want to live there. Have some
Right.
pride in your property. Have some pride in where where you live. People have pride in where they live, so they don't want to live in a concrete box. So once we get these renovations underway and get started, we'll eventually want to paint the exterior of the property, and we'll want to put some curb appeals, some flags, some marketing material, new signage. I'll give you an example, and I'll be done with it. But I'll give you an example. A property that I worked at in San Diego. It's a hundred and no 210 roughly units. Um, it it uh, when I worked at it, it was kind of run down in a sense that the new ownership did, or the old ownership or existing ownership did not want to do much in terms of curb appeal, in terms of making the property, uplift the property. So the rent was capped. Let's just put a figure on it. Let's say for 2 bedrooms, it was at like 1,900. Now, uh, fast forward 3-4 years down the line, we have new ownership, or it has new ownership. The new ownership came in, and it's located on the freeway, so you drive by it right now. Or they repainted the exterior, and it looks like a different, completely different building, a completely different world. It is an amazing looking property, same units on the interior. Those units were renovated, so the interior, I'm sure, is very similar, but the exterior looks night and day different, just from a little
Right.
uplift with the paint, some nice landscaping, just really made the property pop. And now they're able to push rents for $200-300 more. Now this is San Diego, so it's kind of extreme, but they've been able to push rents much more just because of the curb appeal, the better tenant that they're attracting. So that's just a small example of what we plan to do with Menlo Townhomes.
Right. And you'll work closely, obviously, with our property management team uh, that is local out there in order to get all that done and to continuously push rents and increase them over time. As long as we're
Yep.
doing our job as far as curb appeal and making sure that people are in welcomed and excited to live in those units, then we can keep pushing rents along.
Yeah.
On my side of things, I will be for, in charge of property or the project management, excuse me,
Yep.
and making sure that these renovations are on a timeline and getting done efficiently, um, not only in the timely manner but financially as well, not overspending, but making sure that things are done correctly. So, over the next 3 to 6 months, we'll finish the two current renovations and then start the final two units and getting those completely renovated and uh, get new tenants in there. So that will be where I will be
Now let me ask you
focusing.
this.
And
Let me ask you
yeah,
this.
go
What
ahead.
So you've done a couple different projects here in California in terms of renovations. What are some
Mhm.
things that you'll take from from those experiences into this minor renovation?
The biggest thing that I can take away is communication. Um, Staying on top of your contractors is of utmost importance. They are busy, we are busy, but making sure that their timeline is on track with ours and communicating that, because it's kind of mind blowing. But a lot of contractors will start work and then vanish for weeks at a time because they found another project that they're getting paid for. But making sure their focus is on our project itself and getting that done in an efficient manner. Communication is the biggest thing with these contractors because, like I said, they can vanish for a couple weeks at a time and have no updates, no progress. But if you're continuously on them, I've found that to be obviously more effective in making sure that their work is getting done. Asking for pictures or asking them to communicate when their deadlines are or what their timelines are looking like, because then it kind of puts it back on them as far as having some ownership over their work, and not just completing tasks and knocking things off the list.
Yeah, how have you been able to find uh, contractors? I know we're in the bidding stage. How have you been
Yeah,
able to find those contractors?
a lot of referrals, and I think that's been the most effective way, even with previous projects, referrals, because if you're getting referred, that means your work is good and you've done a good job, good enough job to be referred out. The contractors that don't communicate or uh, poor quality in their work, typically, obviously, no one's going to want to work with them. so their referrals are kind of out the window.
Hmm.
But once you get those referrals, also verifying on your end for the work that you need done is important. So asking for pictures um, of previous jobs, asking their experience, and vetting them through to make sure that what you're expecting of them is going to get done.
Have you considered Thumbtack? The the
Yeah, and actually, for my personal home, I've used Thumbtack contractors for more simple jobs.
Can you explain what
Things
that
like,
is?
what's that?
Can you explain what Thumbtack is?
Yeah, Thumbtack is an app or a website. You go on, you type in whatever project you need done. So for Menlo, we were going to look at using a painter from Thumbtack and doing the exterior paint. So you put in your project, the amount of work that needs to be done, and then it sends you, or it puts out a list of contractors that you can contact.
Hmm.
Um, and then they can come out and give you bids, or however they go about doing that, and you can choose to work with one of them.
Okay. Yeah, the biggest thing that I see is we are. I don't want to say it in a bad way, but we are more or less penny pinchers at this, and I think it's a good thing, especially for our investors. So the biggest thing that I think we're going to learn here is the difference between penny pinching and quality of,
Right.
of the work. So there's a happy medium. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get away with the cheapest contractor. We don't want the cheapest contractor, but we want to make sure it's done efficiently and done correctly, but on budget. So that's
Right.
definitely going to be a huge learning experience, at least for me, as I learn from the things that you're doing and what you're learning from as well.
Yeah, and thinking big picture, if they're doing, counters, cabinets, flooring, and they're doing a multitude of things, and they come in with a bid of, we'll just say $10,000, for example. You trying to knock off $500 to $1,000 off their estimate
Yeah.
really isn't going to bode well, because they're going to be annoyed that you're trying to penny pinch. The
Hmm.
work might not be as good, and their timeline might not be as fast because
Yeah.
they're not making as much. So
Yeah.
finding that happy medium, like you said, is important, but also obviously not overspending on certain projects.
Yeah. They're humans too, and just
Yeah.
just imagine if somebody came into your world and said, "No, your price isn't good enough. Let me try to get $75 off." you know,
Right.
especially it's all relative, obviously, but especially if it's a $5,000 bid, you trying to make it $4,825 is like okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and you'll
So
you'll definitely be put lower on the totem pole in terms of getting
exactly.
that project done. So I'd rather pay the $10,000 to I don't know about you, but I'd rather pay the $10,000 to make sure it's done on time than to save 100, 200, 300, $400, and we're now put lower on the totem pole of when the importance of things needing to get done.
Yeah. Keeping them happy, but also staying within our budget
Yeah,
to get that done.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we will continue on our work and push our company forward, push this current project forward, and hopefully have some big updates here coming soon.
Yep, things are starting to come together, so I'm excited to share it with everybody. I'm excited to kind of keep keep everybody apprised on the journey of what we're learning and because it's important at least to me. So,
Absolutely. All right. Make
alrighty,
sure you like and subscribe.
yep,
We'll see you next week.
next week.